Guide to Visiting Korea. I'm Kayla. I'm so glad you're here with me today as we explore another must-see spot in Korea that's quickly winning the hearts of both locals and travelers. Whether you're planning your first visit or coming back for more, I'm here to help you discover the places that go beyond the typical tourist trail, and today's feature is a true hidden gem. Following the content I am presenting, we will now move on to the content presented by two traveler freelance reporters whose name are Katie and Jonathan based on their own reporting on the ground. Subscriptions, likes, and notification settings are small acts of kindness that give strength and courage to the hosts of the podcast. Please do so. Part 2 will follow soon, with Katie and Jonathan sharing their findings from their field reporting. Stay tuned! Let's dive in. Welcome, solo travelers. Today on Solo Wanderers Seoul, we step away from the noise and neon of the city to uncover the soul of Seoul, its hidden sanctuaries. You've heard of Gyeongbokgung and Myeongdong, but what about those quiet corners where the locals go to breathe, reflect, and escape? Let's begin our journey in Myeongdong, a hillside village nestled behind Gyeongbok Palace. With its quaint cafes, galleries, and views of Inwangsan, it's a peaceful gem that feels like time has slowed down. Next, we visit Seoul Park, a former water filtration plant turned eco-island on the Han River, a true oasis for quiet walks and mindful solitude. Then there's Jogisa Temple, often overlooked by tourists rushing to bigger attractions. But come at dawn or dusk, and you'll witness candlelight, monks chanting, and the serene beauty of Buddhist tradition. We'll also explore Iwa Mural Village, not just for its art, but for the stillness in its alleys early in the morning. It's an artist's dream and a traveler's breath of fresh air. Seoul isn't just about speed, it's about finding peace in the unexpected. So whether you're journaling with a cup of tea in a hanok cafe or strolling under ginkgo trees, this episode is for every solo traveler seeking meaning behind the moments. Next up, we'll have a conversation with two travel journalists, Katie and Jonathan, about their first-hand experience in Seoul, South Korea. If you listen until the end, you'll get some great information you might not have expected. Stay tuned! A welcome guide to visiting Korea. Hi everyone, and welcome back to a welcome guide to visiting Korea. I'm Kayla. I'm so glad you're here with me today as we explore another must-see spot in Korea that's quickly winning the hearts of both locals and travelers. Whether you're planning your first visit or coming back for more, I'm here to help you discover the places that go beyond the typical tourist trail, and today's feature is a true hidden gem. Following the content I am presenting, we will now move on to the content presented by two traveler freelance reporters whose name are Katie and Jonathan based on their own reporting on the ground. Subscriptions, likes, and notification settings are small acts of kindness that give strength and courage to the hosts of the podcast. Please do so. Part 2 will follow soon, with Katie and Jonathan sharing their findings from their field reporting. Stay tuned! Let's dive in. Welcome, solo travelers. Today on Solo Wanderers Seoul, we step away from the noise and neon of the city to uncover the soul of Seoul, its hidden sanctuaries. You've heard of Gyeongbokgung and Myeongdong, but what about those quiet corners where the locals go to breathe, reflect, and escape? Let's begin our journey in Myeongdong, a hillside village nestled behind Gyeongbok Palace. With its quaint cafes, galleries, and views of Inwangsan, it's a peaceful gem that feels like time has slowed down. Next, we visit Seoul Park, a former water filtration plant turned eco-island on the Han River, a true oasis for quiet walks and mindful solitude. Then there's Jogisa Temple, often overlooked by tourists rushing to bigger attractions. But come at dawn or dusk, and you'll witness candlelight, monks chanting, and the serene beauty of Buddhist tradition. We'll also explore Iwa Mural Village, not just for its art, but for the stillness in its alleys early in the morning. It's an artist's dream and a traveler's breath of fresh air. Seoul isn't just about speed, it's about finding peace in the unexpected. So whether you're journaling with a cup of tea in a hanok cafe or strolling under ginkgo trees, this episode is for every solo traveler seeking meaning behind the moments. Next up, we'll have a conversation with two travel journalists, Katie and Jonathan, about their first-hand experience in Seoul, South Korea. If you listen until the end, you'll get some great information you might not have expected. Stay tuned!
Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take your sources, articles, notes, whatever you send us, and really pull out the key insights for you.
That's right.
Now, sometimes, the best way to do a deep dive isn't with someone else. It's actually just by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We heard from a lot of you after our last one on date spots. People mentioned, yeah, connection is great, but sometimes you're just alone.
And that's totally okay. Natural, even.
Exactly. It doesn't have to mean lonely. It could be an opportunity, right?
Yeah.
That feeling of solitude.
Yeah, definitely an opportunity.
So our mission today, and this is all inspired by the great stuff you sent in, is to explore these unique spaces, places that aren't just good solo, but maybe even better when you're on your own.
Right.
Places where you can be an observer, really connect with yourself, maybe even have some unexpected insights. So let's get into it.
Okay. And what's really fascinating, and you see this in your sources, is how solitude isn't presented as, something missing. It's framed as a deliberate chance, an opportunity for a much deeper personal kind of connection with the place, yes, but also with yourself.
That's a really powerful frame.
Finding those spots that really allow for that, introspection.
And the sources suggest maybe the ultimate place for that kind of deep dive into yourself is actually where it all started, your childhood neighborhood.
Exactly.
But how does, just like going back there, how does that really change how you see yourself now? What do the sources say?
Well, it's pretty profound, actually. The source suggests that if you really want to know yourself, or even show someone else who you truly are, you should show them the spaces that made you.
Wow.
Yeah. And the speaker shares this really vivid story about going back to their childhood alley. It was in Cheongdong-gu, Gusongdong, that's now part of Gwangjin-gu in Seoul, near the old Children's Hall.
Okay. And they said they used to play baseball there, right, in this little alley?
Yeah, and as a kid, it felt huge, like a proper field. But then going back as an adult,
It felt tiny.
incredibly small. And that feeling, that's the insight. These physical spaces, they're like personal time capsules.
Right.
Standing there, you don't just remember your past, you feel it physically. You feel how much you've grown, how your scale has changed compared to this constant thing.
It lets you experience time passing in a really personal way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Seeing your own growth reflected back at you. It's a very tangible kind of self-reflection you can't really get elsewhere.
Okay, so from that really personal, quiet reflection, we shift gears to places that offer, very different kinds of energy, intense energy, or maybe profound stillness.
Yeah, big contrast.
Let's talk about the horse racetrack first.
Yeah.
The source mentions this paradox. The people are sitting still, but the animals are just pure energy.
It's quite something, and actually pretty rare in our cities, right? These very managed, often artificial environments.
Totally.
To see animals really going full out in their sort of wild state, not just, lying down like you might see at the zoo. The source paints this picture. These powerful horses running flat out, pure energy. And everyone else is just sitting, watching.
It's a stark contrast. Primal, almost.
Yeah, it is. A place to feel that raw, natural energy in a really unexpected urban spot. Very different from just cars moving.
And the source is clear. Go to feel it. Don't go to gamble.
Please don't gamble. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about the experience of the space itself.
Okay, so from that intense energy to the complete opposite, the National Cemetery.
Yes.
Tension 1.
Yes.
An incredibly static space.
Yeah.
Very, very still.
You'd think being in Seoul, it might still have some background hum, but no.
It's profoundly quiet, almost unbelievably so. You can have busy roads nearby, but step inside and it's like time just slows right down.
Wow.
The source really highlights the natural environment there. Very few artificial things like plastic. It feels quite pure, untouched.
So it's a real sanctuary, a total contrast to the racetrack.
Exactly. A place for reflection where the quiet itself almost forces you to slow down inside. Really interesting extremes. Okay, so we've had introspection, raw energy, deep stillness. What about places that give you a sense of forward momentum, even when you're solo? What did the sources say about that?
Well, the airport terminal comes up, specifically the departures area.
Departures, okay.
These terminals are often just physically huge indoor spaces, right?
Massive.
But departures, it has this unique vibe. It's full of people radiating this positive energy, anticipation, hope for the journey ahead.
So you just kind of soak that up, even if you're not actually flying anywhere.
Exactly. You just absorb that collective optimism, no pressure, just taking in that vibrant, hopeful feeling.
I like that.
Then there's the baseball stadium, another high energy place.
Right. And the sources mentioned just the simple pleasure of seeing that big green field in the city.
Yeah, the aesthetics.
Yeah.
That huge, open, perfectly kept space. It's visually quite striking.
And being alone in a huge place like that. The source said something about how the sheer scale can make you more aware of yourself within it, almost empowering, because there are no social distractions.
Yes, precisely. And then there's this really cool idea, the mirror neuron theory.
Okay, what's that?
So the source explains that our brains, just by watching someone else do something, can fire up the same pathways as if we were doing it.
No way.
Yeah. So watching baseball players running, throwing, hitting, dodging it can trigger this kind of energy release in you, a sort of visceral connection, almost like tapping into that old hunter-gatherer thing.
Huh. A kind of catharsis just by watching.
Exactly, a vicarious physical release. And even if you're there alone, you're still part of a section, right? First base side, third base side.
You belong somewhere.
So there's still that sense of community, that shared energy, even on your own.
So it's entertainment, but also this deeper physical and community connection. Really interesting.
Next up, we have places that are almost like living timelines or hidden treasures. San Yudo Park, for instance, the Garden of Time.
A living timeline. That sounds amazing. How does that work?
It really is. It used to be a water treatment plant.
Okay.
And the architect, Chil Sung, had this brilliant idea. He took the roofs off, leaving just these concrete pillars.
Right.
And at the base of the pillars, they planted creeping vines. But, and this is key, they left one pillar completely bare.
Why bare?
As a reference level. Like in architecture, you need a constant to measure against. Think Frank Gehry's Disney concert hall, maybe, or how some buildings relate to the river level. It gives you that baseline.
Ah, I get it, like a control group in an experiment.
Kind of, yeah. So the source describes watching these vines grow over years, from tiny shoots to covering the pillars. You're literally watching time unfold.
That's incredible. So you see nature changing, appreciate the architecture, and feel time passing all at once.
Exactly. It's powerful. And from that living timeline to a real hidden gem in Wongsan Susung Valley.
Hidden gem. Okay, tell me more. Where is this?
It's the secluded valley, tucked away in Wongsan. That's the Rocky Mountain just west of Gyeongbok Palace in Seoul.
Okay.
And going there, the source says, it feels like you've just stepped into the Joseon dynasty. It's got this ancient vibe.
Yeah.
There's a tranquil stream. And get this, an unexpected suspension bridge, like something you'd find way out in Siraxan National Park.
No way, right in the city.
Right there. And there's this perfect little pavilion. The speaker even mentions sitting there, enjoying some wine and cheese.
Nice.
And feeling like an immortal, just completely transported out of the everyday.
What a great image. An escape within the city. Sounds peaceful and unique.
Definitely. An urban oasis. Okay, finally, let's talk about everyday spots, places for contemplation, and what the source calls micro-architectures.
Micro-architectures. That sounds small. What does that mean exactly?
Yeah, it's intriguing, isn't it? It basically refers to those small, often overlooked spaces within bigger places.
Like a corner booth in a cafe.
Sort of, yeah. Or a nook, a staircase. Even something you carry with you. These little pockets that offer a temporary, personal kind of sanctuary. Finding your own private room in public, almost.
Okay, I think I get it. So what's the first example?
The source points to Seoul Station, specifically the steps, our own little Spanish steps.
Ah, okay, the big staircase, yeah.
I mean,
between the floors.
Exactly, that large staircase going from the third down to the second floor. People just hang out there. And the source talks about the feeling you get just sitting there. This sense of spaciousness, peace even, just watching the trains, the tracks stretching out, that big curved roof.
Yeah, it is quite a view.
And there are cultural spaces nearby too, exhibition halls behind the Western Station part, so there are layers to it.
So it's just an everyday spot, but it offers this unexpected calm, a place to just watch and feel bigger inside.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. The source suggests just sitting and observing there can be like a mindfulness practice. Finding stillness right in the middle of all that movement. Urban Zen, maybe?
Accessible urban Zen. I like it. Okay, what's the last one? You said something you carry with you.
Yes. This one's really unique.
A portable space. What on earth could that be?
An umbrella, when it's raining really hard.
An umbrella? How is that a space?
Well, think about it. The source frames it as your own personal portable pantheon, like a little dome.
Oh.
When the rain is heavy, it creates this curtain, this wall of water all around you.
Right.
And the sound of the rain becomes like white noise. It forms this perfect little one-person architectural space. just for you.
Wow. So it's not just keeping you dry, it's creating an instant private world.
Exactly. A really unique sensory thing, an intimate space for just observing, thinking, even if your shoes get wet.
Yeah, probably.
But the metaphor is great, isn't it? That real solitude, that inner quiet, you don't always have to escape to somewhere grand. You can find it anywhere, even create it with something simple, your own little dome.
That's a fantastic shot. What an incredible range of spaces we've covered.
Yeah.
All from your sources. It really shows how exploring alone lets you just observe. Be truly yourself. No need to coordinate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like the source said, if something doesn't pan out, if an experience is a failure, it's okay when you're alone. There's a real freedom there.
That's such a crucial point.
Yeah.
And there was some really profound advice in the source material connected to this very idea.
Oh, yeah.
It suggested that being ready for a deep connection like marriage really comes when you're genuinely okay being alone.
Sure.
Like truly comfortable ordering food for one, going to the movies solo, finding real joy just in your own company. It's about being happy from the inside first. Self-sufficient happiness.
That makes a lot of sense. And wasn't there that analogy about liking versus loving clothes?
Yes, that was great. Liking something means you think about it, you go home, maybe you go back to the store later to buy it. But loving it, that's when you realize you're already wearing it. It's just part of you.
And applying that to marriage.
The source says you realize you're already married. It implies this organic, natural connection that just is, growing out of that inner contentment, much like the insights you get from really being present in a space alone.
That's a really beautiful thought to wrap up on. It seems the biggest journeys aren't always too far off places, but maybe into ourselves through the places right around us, the ones that shape us, the ones that show us how we've grown. So maybe the question for you listening is, what forgotten corner of your own past, or what unexpected city spot will you explore next? What might you discover about yourself there?